Welcome to The Pullbag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pullbag.
Hello and welcome to The Pullbag. This is episode 96. I am your host, TFU and Mike, and joining me once again is Skeletor himself.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yes, we have Adas Baron back again because we're going to delve back into DC Comics, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We're doing issues 7 through 12 this time. How we're going to do this is we're going to talk about 7, 8, and 9 in one clip, and then 10, 11, and 12 in another clip. This is where the book changes drastically.
Yeah, it does.
Both in art and in writing. Keith Giffen, right now, probably is still my favorite Masters writer because he brings a lot of the comedy into the characters. It's taken me a while to get around to liking Dan Abnett's work. And before reading him on this series, the only thing I think I read of his was... What did he do? Punisher Year One? Or, I don't know, he wrote some Punisher book way back in the 80s or something or other. I don't remember. So I was kind of new to him and kind of like, okay, all right, I'll see if I'm going to like this or not. And honestly, this is like the middle story of like a 3-part epic that just isn't like... It's really gushy in the middle, and not in a good way either. I don't know. Both when I was reading this single issue, because I have the single issues here, but when I was reading them as they came out, I think there's only like 2 issues, or 3 issues out of the 6 that I really, really enjoyed. And that's kind of bad.
I can probably guess which ones they are.
Try.
The last 2?
No.
Oh, okay.
9, 10, and 13. Or not 13. 9, 10, and 12. It just... I don't know. This just seems so disconnected from what we've already read.
Yeah, that was... probably the only negative thing I could say, because, I'm just starting to read this and I feel a little lost connecting it to the prior 6 issues. But I actually had far more enjoyment reading this than the other 6. You made a good point where the characterizations were good in the other 6, but I felt like I was taken on far more of a journey in this, What Lies Beneath. It was a 6-issue quest. Where it was like, the other ones, oh, okay, here's the Horde again, and this and that. Well, it seemed they introduced a lot of new things without having to reinvent a lot of aspects, which is what the first 6 tended to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around crap that happens in this. Like, the only thing I can wrap my head around is the ending, because it was kind of a natural evolution, and it's something we've always wanted to see in cartoon. We never did, though.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get to 7, 8, and 9 after this.
It was He-Man who... He-Man? Always He-Man!
Alright, first up is issue 7, written by Dan Abnett, art by Raphael Kayanen? I don't know. The the cover is He-Man, Teela, excuse my voice, He-Man, Teela, Stratos, and Man-at-Arms, a bold new adventure.
Isn't that Randor?
Oh yeah, it's Randor, sorry.
And Mossman.
Duh. Where's Moss? Oh yeah, he's in the back. I didn't see him. So we open with Randor making a speech. And I think the coolest thing about this art for me is the giant splash pages that has the title on them and the battle pages. Other than Abnett, Kath Abnett and Kayanan, Catherine Lano is on colors. Deron Bennett is on letters. The cover is Yelidre Sinar and Randy Mayer. I like the cover to this one. I think it's cool. It's interesting. I'm still not too keen on the He-Man having Iron Man armor like stuff, but I can get over it at this point.
I take more issue with that damn Stratos costume than anything He-Man's wearing.
I know it. Stratos just does not look right at all.
It's like he's wearing a Kamen Rider, a Sentai outfit.
Yeah, true. I don't know. So we have this giant battle between Randor and the others against the Horde troopers. The art style, at least in this in issue 8, just does not appeal to me at all. I don't know what it is. It's too weird. Like
it feels, it's very sketchy, and I mean, as it is, it could stand on its own, but it feels like these are kind of rough sketches that need to be finalized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was all right with it. It's nothing too distracting, other than comparing it to the art from the other issues.
Yeah. I think the coolest part about this issue is how Grizzlor looks and how the Horde troopers look.
Yeah.
That's really cool. They got him right, so that's one good thing.
And he wasn't a bumbling oaf this time.
True.
He's quite, well, for the most part, he's smart.
Yeah, for the most part. So we have Randor, who apparently held the 5th Division back and supposedly going to surprise the Horde, and apparently that doesn't work. And we see a bright light coming up upon them, and we see the return of He-Man and Tila and Roboto, and various other characters. He-Man, it's He-Man. Where the hell has he been? See, DC Universe versus Masters of the Universe, issues 1 through 6. So He-Man returns from his earthly journey in the middle of a battle. What do you think of how they basically bridged in and out for the crossover event? Because I think by the 5th or the 6th, the end of the 6th issue of the ongoing, they were transported off Eternia to go to Earth for the crossover. What do you think of that juxtaposition of them going and then being there, and now they pop right back into a battle?
It seemed like there was no point in doing that. They're not connected, it seems, in any way whatsoever. They might I think they reference it once, but it has no change to the storylines. Like, oh, here we're going to do the side mission, come back, and nothing's really the same.
Mm-hmm. True. So He-Man and everybody else comes back in the middle of the battle, and Grizzlor wants to be able to prove himself and his fighting by fighting without using the orbital disruptor. And we have this really nice shot of this doomsday-looking weapon in space over Eternia. At least Eternia doesn't look like it has a North and South America like it did in the Filmation series. I mean, that's one thing.
Now, is this orbital disruptor just that, or is this kind of the Horde home base?
I don't think it's the Horde home base, because that's usually the Fright Zone, and it seems like Hordak in his aging... Yeah, Hordak even says he is in Despondos.
Okay.
So he's not even there. So the orbital disruptor gets fired, and the battle where they were fighting gets turned to ash, and everything gets destroyed, and we get a let's see here. We get He-Man. Wait, come back. What do those? He-Man during this whole thing gets a vision He gets knocked out and he gets a vision from Zodak, which I like that they put him in here. I think it's cool because the only place we've seen him in this entire series is in that Origin of Hordak one shot. So I think it's kind of cool that they did that, and he kind of sets them on their path of what lies within.
Yeah. Again, he only shows up in that one shot. I felt like maybe it would be more appropriate if, like, the spirit of Grayskull came to him because it kind of ties into all that at the end, sort of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I still kind of liked seeing him, though, even though it was for half a second.
It's like, hey, I'm not the Watcher, but I am the Watcher. Just don't ask me to take my helmet off.
God, now all I can see is, Giles and Wesley going back and forth. You are on the Watchers Council. I am not on the Watchers Council anymore. Oh, God. Good old Buffy and Angel. And this issue kind of ends with Randor going on this mad quest he ends it with saying, we must bring the sorceress back. And He-Man's like, we what?
So are they the only ones that survived all of this?
I assume, yes. Them, Moss Man. I think they killed off Man-at-Arms or not Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms returned. So, yeah, I think they killed everybody else off.
Not, like, all the Eternian subjects, just the entire planet?
Oh, I don't know. As far as the Masters go, though, they're probably the only ones that survived that thing.
Yeah. Which
is questionable how they did that. But overall, issue 7, it was an alright setup.
Yeah. Again, it's alright. Nothing fantastic. Nothing incredibly boring. I've been far more bored in the past.
I still don't care for Abnett's writing, his writing style, and how he writes what the characters say. And that will be something that will go on throughout this entire arc, because there are just certain things, the way that, like, He-Man says something, it's that old-timey talk, and it just...
Yeah.
It just doesn't gel with what I know He-Man to be, or what I perceive He-Man to be. Alright, so what lies within Part 2, issue number 8... the cover is He-Man with his mighty sword. Who is that next? That's
Randor.
Is that Randor? I don't know.
With a gun and the axe?
Yeah, that can't be Ren. He doesn't have a beard on him. I don't know. Maybe it's just a flub on the cover.
Yeah, he's got the crown.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. So we got them, and we got the Horde troopers all around them. I like the cover. It's all right. I don't ever remember He-Man's emblem glowing, though, with the power.
Yeah, it looks more like a bat signal here.
Pretty much, yeah. Where are the widgets when you really need them?
Yeah.
Not a fan of the widgets, huh?
No, who isn't a fan of the widgets?
So we get Randor and He-Man. They are about to engage the Horde. Starting off this issue, we get a really, really cool, beautiful splash page with Part 2 and Battlecat just tearing into some Horde troopers. Man, I would love to have been there to see that. That is so awesome.
we need a good live-action sequence with Battlecat just tearing stuff up.
That's the one thing that movie is missing, is Battlecat. Oh, God. Now, issue 8... actually, throughout all of these issues, it does say in the credits here that Dan Abnett does the scripting, and it's based on a story by Rob David and Lloyd Goldfine. This issue specifically, issue number 8, because I think it came out right after the passing of one of the greatest men on Earth or Eternia. This issue is dedicated to the memory and power of Lou Scheimer. So I do like that they put that in there. Because I do think this issue came out right after he passed away. So there's that. Let's see. So they're in this fight, and they're fighting and fighting and fighting. I mean, there's not much dialogue here. It's mostly a third-person storyteller. and the battle. Until this other splash page where Stratos is flying overhead and saying that there are more Outriders are closing in upon us, and then all of a sudden,
Who shall appear?
Swamp Thing.
I mean, Moss Man, or however they refer to him as his bio name.
Yeah.
I felt like there were so many instances where it felt forced that they had to mention what their real names are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Moss Man. Just keep him as that.
It just, like, if they really had to put the bio names in here, like, on orders from Mattel, that's just stupid. I'm sorry. That's just dumb.
Yeah, it could have been one of those copyright things. Because I know they would, on the monthly figures, they would sometimes put the character names on the boxes just so they could have it.
Mm-hmm. Still, it just, I don't know, it kind of irks me.
Yeah, it felt forced.
So Mossman shows up, and I will say this throughout this entire podcast, I still hate that when he is He-Man, they still call him Adam. I love that there is no more secret, but Jesus Christ. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
Well, I mean, when you have Superman with the Justice League, half the time they refer to him as Clark.
Not during battle.
Okay, well, they're fighting robots.
Still. So we get another giant splash page with Mossman saving their asses, and I love the Horde Troopers here. Arrgh, the living trees turn against us, the thorns. I just love that.
Well, how can they feel pain if they're robots?
I know. But I seem to remember that they're not. Like, I don't know, because if you look at Secret of the Sword, and obviously we have many, many times in the past almost 30 years of this. Oh my God. Next year it'll be 30 years since that movie came out. Holy shit. I know, we're old.
Yeah.
If you look at Secret of the Sword, Adam or He-Man somehow got into a Horde Trooper uniform, so maybe there are humans in those. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they're not just robots.
Could be a mix, but you never know.
Yeah, could be.
It's usually up to the writer.
What are you feeling so far with this issue so far to the splash page?
I like the inclusion of Moss Man. There's a lot of dynamic action. I don't know, the one where he first shows up and they scream Moss Man. All I can think of is what's his name? Monster Mind?
Mm-hmm.
From Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the vininess and everything.
Mm-hmm. That is crazy. So we keep going. Randor tells them of his plan to seek the Star Seed and to seek out the goddess. And
No, the Star Seed, that was from... They introduced that in the cartoon, right?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was looking it up.
It's supposedly the ultimate power of Eternia, so that's just the way I look at it. So Randor keeps going on and on about asking the goddess to bring the sorceress back, and Mossman is basically trying to talk them out of it because it's a fool's journey.
Yeah, because they're saying this Zor isn't as benevolent as you think, and she kind of fits her own agenda, and only has the patience for so much.
Yep. So they get to Mount Zor, and we get to an opening with a bunch of writing on it, and we get your standard, door to the underworld kind of thing, and we see that apparently He-Man is the one that has the key, and we get a weird version of asking for the power, and I have the power of Grayskull, and that power was given to me by Zor. I know he's not transforming from Adam to He-Man, but this is just weird. And I want the old sword back, goddammit. I hate this new sword.
I mean, I don't hate it so much. I'd prefer the old one. I mean, this now that I look at it, you have the shot of him looking from the back and he's holding it up. The color is different, but it looks like the swords that came with Castle Grayskull Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it probably is, which wouldn't surprise me at all. So they enter into the realm of dreams. So they're trying to enter Subternia. And Subternia is made up of 6 realms. And the first realm they enter is the realm of dreams. And we end this issue on
These dreams turning out to be nightmares, and
pretty much, yeah.
Teela and He-Man don't seem really phased at all by this. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna hold this thing by the neck, and He-Man, here we go again.
Yep. These first two issues in this arc, 7 and 8, I don't particularly like the art style overall, except when it comes to Moss Man. Like, He-Man and Teela, they just look off to me.
Yeah, it has this weird John Romita Jr. look to it, but I think his has a tendency to look a little more flat than this, but his is also a little more refined than this.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on issue 8 before I move on?
I mean, I like where it's going. I think I'm appreciating the overall idea of the story than all the little things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not paying too much attention to all the fine details. And by stepping back a little bit, I can enjoy it more.
Right. We get to issue 9, which is the last one we'll talk about in this portion of the podcast. And issue 9's cover is easily the best, one of the best covers out of these 6 issues. What lies within part 3 is a giant purple snake wrapped around a golden rod.
I thought that's a sword.
Is that the sword?
Yeah, the hilt.
No.
You can see the hilt.
Oh, yeah, it is wrapped around. Okay, it's wrapped around the sword. See, if they had used the real sort of power, I would have recognized it a little bit more. Because this is not, and I'm sure people listening to this are going to say, TF2 and Mike, get off your ass. This isn't your childhood. They don't use that sword anymore. It still doesn't matter. I still prefer. I will say that Michael S. O'Hare has taken over art and color duty for the next 2 issues, I believe. He should have stayed on.
Yeah.
He really should have stayed on through the rest of it, because his characterizations and his drawings and his colors of all of these characters now, I love this art style. Mm-hmm. Absolutely amazing.
It's a very angular, cartoony look, but I mean, I can be picky when it comes to art styles, but I do really like it.
I mean, it reminds me more of the 2002 cartoon than anything else, and it just looks so... If you think about it, they're in Subternia. Subternia is underground. There's a lot of darkness underground. He manages to make this a bright comic book, even though they're underground. So, like I said, Michael S. O'Hare on art and colors, Abnett on the script. The cover was done by Fraser Irving. I wish he would do more covers, because damn, that was an awesome cover. So we get this giant battle in the dream world. And I wish that they would say who is doing this internal monologue. Whether it's, like, even if they say that it's Zodak as the Watcher, I just want an explanation of who is doing this monologue.
I don't want to give the ending away, but could we assume it's that person, considering it's kind of... It's written in scrolls, and
I guess. I hope not, because I'm not too keen on the ending. So it just doesn't work for me. And hey, look, Teela has her own sort of protection.
All right. And a dagger.
Well, yeah, true. So we get this battle scene in the Dream Circle. we get another big splash page with Randor and He-Man and Teela. It looks like they used the same image on two different pages. Oh, it's just a different angle. He-Man and Teela on the big splash page where the title is. On the next page, it's He-Man and Teela again, but it's at a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, that's weird.
Well, at least the art is consistent.
Absolutely. She looks a hell of a lot better than what she did the last two issues. They all do. Really. Even Stratos looks somewhat decent, even though we don't care for his...
Yeah, just the way he's giving him movement, it's very... comes off as very Snake Eyes. Especially the one where he's got his hands whipped behind his back.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
Randor definitely benefits from this artwork.
Oh, he does so much. The
Luxurious beard.
Yes. He is the Burger King after all.
Armor Burger King. Battle Armor Burger King.
There you go. That would work. No. No. I thought about it, but then no. So we get to a point in this where the war they made across the Circle of Dreams lasted a full day and night. And then the nightmares began to win. And we have this giant, like, squid, almost Cerberus looking thing, but it has nothing to do with a dog. Three-hole... Kind of reminds me of Jeff from Men in Black 1, the giant worm in the sewer.
Oh, yeah.
So this thing swallows Stratos, Mossman, and Teela whole, and basically they disappear. And He-Man cuts open its belly and nothing. It's empty. So something has happened to them that cannot be explained. I feel like Robert Stack should be doing some sort of internal monologue here with the Unsolved Mysteries music, because, like, seriously, it's like, where the hell did they go? So He-Man's like, she's dead, I'm going to kill you all. He doesn't say that, but that's the look on his face.
Need to find themselves in a desert wasteland.
Yes, which apparently this used to be the Circle of Earth. So as the story has progressed, they've found out that the war that is ravaging on the surface of Eternia with the Horde has drastically taken a horrible change on Subternia. With the war and the violence and everything else, it's why the Dream Circle is now the Nightmare Circle. The Circle Earth is now basically a desert wasteland. So it's kind of like, would you say it's like cause and effect?
Yeah,
pretty much. Like what you do up there affects us down here.
Mm-hmm. And like if you thought the coloring and the artwork looked good in the dark, once you get to this desert, this barren wasteland where there's a lot of light, a lot of little paint details are being shown now, and it's splendiferous.
Absolutely.
The rock creatures.
Yeah, I love the beginning of this. It starts in darkness. Ow, ow. Also, ow. I just love Teela in this series. She's just so amazing. So we get this page here where Mossman is dying because he has nothing to feed off of. He has no forest, no nothing. And we see the Crimson Dynamo behind Teela. Dude, I swear, as soon as I saw it, I had to make that joke, because holy crap, Stratos looks like one of Iron Man's armors at this point.
Well, I'm looking at it now, and all I can think of is, like, the White Dino Thunder Ranger. He even has the Abba Ranger logo on his stomach.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. It's just so weird. So we get, these rock creatures attack, and then we cut back to the Circle of Dreams, where He-Man, Randor, and Battlecat are fighting like they've never fought before, for like one page, and then we get back to Mossman looks horrible. No, I'm not saying horrible as in the art is bad. I'm just saying, like, his condition.
He is rotting away.
Dude looks like... he looks like to me is like if the Crypt Keeper was made of moss. You know, it's basically Moss Man could fill in for the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, he's pretty lanky and gangly.
Yes, very much so. Um, so throughout all this, he's trying to tell her about how unforgiving Zor is, and telling of the first ones and of the of the snake people. I don't think he actually says snake people, but he says of the first ones and
Serpos
Serpos, and makes reference to that. And Stratos is like, Tila, the Rockmen, they're here. They're beginning their assault.
We just want to play you guys some rock and roll. Ha!
We get back to He-Man, Randor, and Battlecat, and they find another door, and they go to open it.
The doors.
And Randor says, "It has become a nightmare where the gates are sealed and we cannot escape." To be continued. Issue 9 was awesome. I loved everything about it. The cover, the art. I wish Michael S. O'Hare had done more than just issues 9 and 10, because his style is so awesome. Any other thoughts on issue 9, sir?
Well, by the time you get to this third issue, everything seems to have been set up, and we have a full structure of where this is supposed to go, and, the beginning of it, minus a few things, all interweaves with this, whereas in some of the other arcs, it's like, I don't know where this is going, or necessarily what's the point. I mean, still, this isn't, well, we'll find out it does tie into the Horde, but it's like, where are they now? What's the deal with this?
Absolutely. All right, as I said, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with issues 10, 11, and 12 after this.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the Jawbridge. Open!
All right, folks, we are back, and it is time to talk about issues 10, 11, and 12 of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe from DC Comics. The cover for this one has a giant ship, and all of the forgotten characters are there, along with Stratos, who, again, now he kind of looks like... there's a little too much purple there, and that's kind of bad coming from me, since purple is my favorite color, but... I don't know, he kind of looks like a really, like a miniature version of a Sentinel at this point. Like, just on the cover. I mean, it just, I don't know, it's just weird. So.
It feels like they should be singing on the top of this ship.
A pirate shanty, and they should go.
Exactly.
Oh, God. So we get the more cool art from Michael S. O'Hare.
These monsters are phenomenal.
Yeah, they are. Just amazing creatures. So they're trying to get the door open, and we have a really cool battle scene, and we have this striking thing from down below. Come to find out, Tila and all the others that have been missing, Moss Man fires this giant weapon from this giant flying pirate ship, which...
It's like a steampunk air balloon thing.
Dude, it's the pirate skyship from Megaforce.
No!
Yes,
this is not the Gokai Galleon. Rescind your comments lest I hang.
Okay, it's the U.S. version. The skyship, that one. It's the bad one. I'll put it that way.
I thought they're the same thing.
Oh, you'd have to tell me. I do not watch stuff that is not in English, so if it's not in my native tongue, there's no way I'd watch it. So what lies within part 4 Script by Abnett. Art and colors by Michael S. O'Hare. As always, Darren Bennett is on letters. The cover is by Pop Mahan, which is kind of nice to see him back. Interesting cover.
It was like none of these covers match up with the artwork inside.
No, they don't. Well, I mean, issue 9 kind of does. I mean, it kind of does with how sleek it is, but yeah, no. I mean, that's like asking, if you read New 52 Batgirl, most of that arc, most of the good arc, the Gail Simone arc, not the new stuff, is the covers are done by Alex Gardner, and the inside art is done by Fernando Passeron and other artists. So, I mean, I've never expected covers to match up to the inside art. I will say with Michael S. O'Hare that in this arc specifically, he is my favorite artist to this point. He's so much better than the other ones that were on issue 7 and 8. So they rescue He-Man, Randor, and not Mossman. Battle Cat. Yeah, Stratos really does look like a Power Rangers villain now. He's manning the pirate ship. He looks like a Power Rangers pirate.
Go Kai change. Like Go Kai go home. Well, then Mossman is back to his old self again. Yep.
Which is nice.
Which, I mean, I kind of understood what happened, and I didn't understand what happened. Like, oh, they carried me, and we got out of there, and which it caused me to turn back to normal, end of story.
Well, it's like he has to live off of the land, and if the land is destroyed, he can't live. Well, that's pretty much what I got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing I was confused, it seemed like he actually did die, and...
Yeah, sure. So we get, them pulling everybody up, and Mossman, at this point in the art, he kind of looks like Hulk, except with a beard.
Yeah.
His shoulders are kind of, his shoulders and his chest and all, and his face are, like, around his beard, are kind of, like, really, really glossy and shiny. And they left poor Battle Cat. Soulless people. And then Tila, like a mother hen, has to call her. That just is wrong to me. I'm sorry. I love Tila in this story, and I love Battle Cat, but Jesus Christ. That just looks so wrong that she has to call him. Oh, so weird.
Just do the Quailman call.
Yep. So they talk about how they got there, and apparently there's a cheat. As long as you're flying in the sky circle, or the circle of the sky, or the sky realm of Subternia, you can cheat and go to the other realms without having to find doors. So that's kind of nice. It's a cheat, but it's nice. So this is where the turn kind of happens. It's like, this is where a really, really bad wrestling turn really happens. We get them flying over everything, and we get to a point where there's going to be a storm, and they're like, we need to change course, because we don't want to go into the storm, but Randor, of all people, steers them into the storm. They end up crashing. And where is my father? Where is King Randor? And we kind of end this issue on the whole search. We see the Snake Men, which is kind of cool, because where Randor has dropped them is the Circle of Death. So apparently you have to go to the Circle of Death before you can live forever. And we see the Snake Men. What do you think of the Snake Men design?
Oh, they're bitching. Very angular, very MYP-esque.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it is revealed that there is no Randor, there is only Hiss. And apparently King Hiss has been in the husk of Randor's body for God knows how long. I don't like this turn. I really, really don't.
No, I loved it.
I don't know. I think it's more for me that the reason why I don't like it is because I'm so used to, and I know this isn't going to happen here because Skeletor was still on Earth and everything else, but I'm so used to, the MYP cartoon where it's Skeletor versus Hiss and, the evil warriors versus the Snake Men, and I don't know. I just think this is like, because he even says, you don't know how I could have been here a month ago. I could have been here since you were born. Blah blah. It's like, we never really know when Hiss took over Randor's body, and I kind of wanted an explanation on that one.
Well, I think that's only there just so he could, screw with Adam's mind. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, like, oh, we're going to go on this quest to find Randor and save him, and he'll be back.
Who knows? Overall thoughts on issue 10?
I like the change. They're the turn. And some of the setup scenes where, like, right before they send him into the storm, there's kind of a foreshadowing with Randor's face, and his eyes are shut, and there's just shadows around him. You can tell something's up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just too weird for me. Like, I don't know. It's just too strange for me. Issue number 11 has He-Man in the coils of King Hiss. He-Man, Teela. Basically, yeah, pretty much He-Man and Teela, because I don't see Moss Man anywhere.
Neither do I.
Yeah. So we open this one up, and we get...
change of art again.
Yep. I'll go over that in a minute. So we get Hiss explaining, the whole thing of messing with Adam's mind, as you said, as far as that goes. Again, the one cool thing about this entire arc is these giant splash pages that happen, like, one page into the book. And, we have What Lies Within Part 5. Abnett is on script. Tom Derenick is on art. Tony Avina is on colors. I like the art, but it's not as good as Michael S. O'Hare.
Yeah, the previous artwork was definitely more original. Mm-hmm. However, if you're a Snake Man fan, this artwork really highlights everything that's cool about these Snake Men.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I like Michael S. O'Hare's colors more, I think, because they were a bright, poppy kind of thing without them having to be, like, when I think of bright, popping colors, I think of, crap that I don't like the Zeta Project was just too damn bright. Stuff like that. And I don't need this book to be super dark. Like I said, with issues 10 and 11, I loved how bright and fulfilling and defining Michael S. O'Hare's art is. I actually want to go and find other stuff that he's done after reading these two previous issues, because I think he's just an amazing artist. So basically, we start a war between King Hiss and the Masters. It's interesting. The Mossman reveals that they're at the Circle of Death. And we've got mostly battle scenes here. I mean, there are, some vocals and stuff like that. I think King Randor Hiss design looks kind of cool on the page where he says, some power, you fool, Stratos. There is only one power, only one that matters. The fire of creation, the star seed. I think he looks really cool right there. But the rest of it is just kind of not my thing at this point with the art.
The more shots you get of Hiss, it seems like they crammed a lot of the defining gimmicks for all the other Snake Men toys into this, because he's got the glowing eyes and he's got the snakes coming out of his mouth, like oh god, the Medusa one.
Oh god, I haven't been keeping track of Masters Classics.
And then he's got the really long arms in some shots, like Squeeze.
Yeah.
And the dynamic shots of all these snake abilities that this character can do are awesome.
They are. I'll admit that. And it kind of weirded me out when he was having the snake eat the staff. I wasn't really sure what the hell that was all about, but it was kind of cool. So we get to the ultimate battle, and we get more, not necessarily exposition, but we get Hiss basically revealing his plot like a supervillain should, and he basically says, "In using you, I will unlock the infinite power of the Star Seed and revive my people." So that's his whole plan. He's going to revive his people, get rid of the humans, and rule Eternia as he once did. I'll admit the splash page after this is really cool in the art. That looks amazing. Where He-Man's about to hit him. Really like that. But I mean, once his plan's revealed, it's kind of like, okay.
Well, there's that one kind of creepy panel where he's cast off all of Randor's skin, and in the corner there's just the face.
Yeah, that is pretty creepy. Pretty creepy indeed. So we get to the point of where we see the door to eternity, and it opens up, and we see this vast world, and that is going to await them, and we enter through it using He-Man. I really do like the colors in this. I think the problem I have with this kind of almost close to the end page here, this giant splash page of them in the fires of the eternity dimension, the speech bubbles of Hiss, they're
hard to read because they're in red.
They're gray and red. Like if they would have reversed those and had the red be the background and the gray be, that might be a little easier, at least for me personally, to read.
Well, yeah, especially if you have a lot of orange and reds and yellows around it, it's distracting.
Yeah. And, this whole time everybody's like ready to give up, and Teela isn't. And basically.
It's like, I know we're damned, but I'm just going to fight anyway because that's what I do.
Yep. Issue 11, it was alright. I'm still not happy with the turn. I think it's a really weird way to bring King Hiss into a story. It's interesting, but He-Man has had enough go on with his family life. I mean, he's lost his mother. Come to find out she's on Earth, But now, who knows when, how long Hiss has been posing as his father. I just don't like that aspect of it. That's really what I don't like more so than I don't like the turn.
I mean, with this new iteration of Masters, I'm expecting changes and things to go off world Bible, and some of it is generic, and I happen to like this. I was kind of like, okay, Snake Men are all right, but after reading these issues, like, I kind of want more of these toys.
All right, and finally up today is issue number 12. And Teela, man, showing a lot of side boobage right there.
Damn!
I remember a lot of people bitching about this cover when it was revealed in solicitations because of how pretty much half naked her upper body looks.
Isn't she always usually? These are the past couple of issues where she hasn't been.
Yeah. And it's her as the Sorceress of Serpos. We'll get to that in a little bit, but Sorceress of Serpos, and she is trying to free He-Man, Stratos, and Mossman from the clutches of King Hiss. I like the cover. I think it's cool. I think we have a hell of a lot more cooler covers coming when we get to the next arc. So we open this one where He-Man has been used to get into the dimension of eternity. And I'm really happy now that, I like King Hiss now that he's in his full mode and not just in Rendor's shell.
He's pretty badass looking. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he is very badass looking.
He is strutting the entire way down that corridor.
Yep. Yep. You've got the same people on script, art, and colors that I mentioned earlier. You've got Ryan Sook did the cover for this issue. So that's interesting. And, Hiss is going to use He-Man, and He-Man's like, no, you're not going to use me, and, the sword, I will have the sword, you will all pay with your souls, and he's starting to fight back. I like the art more in this one than I did the last issue. It's kind of growing on me a little bit.
There's some parts about it that do seem different, especially He-Man in the face. He looks a little more ugly.
You said it, not me.
There's that one shot where Hiss strikes him in the back, and his armor comes off, and like the skin on his back is boiling over and everything.
Yeah.
There's something about that reminds me a lot of the bruises you saw in the Death of Superman issue.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's always been a lot of huge amalgams between Superman and He-Man, which is interesting.
Well, it's more so just not the character himself, just the detail on him.
Right. So we see a fully clothed and armored up Teela. They're going to throw Adam into the Starseed. Call him He-Man, goddammit. Please start calling him He-Man.
Well, I don't know. I almost feel as if the rest of the planet already knows it's Adam.
It just, I don't know. So Teela has Stratos take her to Hiss, and we have a huge battle between the two of them. Wow. Stratos almost looks like poor Prowl from '86 with the fire in his eyes.
Oh, boy.
So we have the fire, we have the sword, we have Mossman and Battlecat and Stratos yelling for Teela, and she's been thrown into the fire, and we end up with a really, really nice cameo, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We have the sorceress, Teela's mother. She looks great here.
Yeah, she was drawn really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Not in any sort of type of way, but
right, yeah. She's more clothed than what Teela will become, but I mean, she looks great. She just really, really does.
Yeah, the design is spot on. Nothing has been changed.
Nope, it's full on Filmation. Really, really is. And unlike the Maddie Collector toy, her wings don't look like they separate.
Yeah.
With something weird on her back.
I don't know. I can almost make out the drums on her shoulder.
Oh, stop! Don't even. Just don't even. So the sorceress tells Teela about her new place in life, and we get back to Hiss and He-Man, and He-Man says, "I don't know, but I think the tide is turning. Get up and face me. Let's finish this."
What was it exactly that? I mean, one could say just the energy was zapping his powers, but you go from right before Teela is thrown into the fire, he seems to be winning, and then you cut back to it, and Hiss is on his knees, and He-Man's got the sword at him.
I don't know. Maybe it's the power of Grayskull, and maybe it's the power of the goddess. I think that's really what it is. It's the power of the goddess. It might be the fire. And the new goddess appears. I am the sorceress now. I am the sorceress of Serpos. I have the power. And all this power comes blasting out at her, and And she basically tells the Snake Men that they better bow to her or else, and everyone does except for King Hiss. Let's see here. We've got, we've got Stratos and Mossman and Adam basically saying, Tila, you are transformed. The goddess has answered our prayers. Eternia has a sorceress again.
Yes, what Hiss gets punched into space.
Yep.
I'll be back, Superman!
King Hiss blasting off again. That's all I can think of is when people get punched off into something and they go flying off into nothing as Team Rocket. And we kind of end on Snake Mountain, which I think this is the first time in the entire series that we've seen Snake Mountain.
You might be right, outside of the first 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah. I mean, we only see it like in a faraway shot, but it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
So we get this page here where Tila says, but first Eternia needs a king. What?
Yeah.
Grayskull knew this day would come.
Yeah, but nobody wants this. Or at least in that damn costume. Ugh.
No,
dorky.
Nobody wants this, especially not Adam. So Adam is going to become King He-Man, and
he doesn't want it.
Meanwhile, out in the forest.
Well, we didn't address the one thing here that we see Stratos without his helmet, and I think this is one of the first times we see him without goggles or anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. He looks like old Logan.
Yeah, he does.
He looks all right. I mean, he looks kind of cool, but he really does look like old Logan in a bad Cyclops suit.
He actually looks a lot better in this outfit without the helmet.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get to a meanwhile page. Out in the woods, we have a cloaked figure who looks like she's wearing a black version of Shadow Weaver's costume.
Mm-hmm. Well, you notice the scroll. Not word bubbles, but they're kind of transparent compared to the rest of them. Oh, actually, no. No, in other parts of the issue, they're the same thing.
Yeah. So we see her walking, and we see an old woman, lady, spare me a drink, and the lady is clearly wearing green, and we have this blonde woman who is Dispara. So that storyline's about to come back. And it turns out that the old woman is Hiss. I think I'm done with King Hiss, honestly. I'm glad that the next arc, The Origin of She-Ra, Prelude to the Blood of Grayskull, thankfully that has nothing to do with King Hiss whatsoever. I just... Like, if they want to bring in, like, Tongue Lashor or Ratlor or even Cobra Khan, fine. But King Hiss himself, I'm over it at this point.
Well, I think they've already bowed down to Green Goddess's might.
Yeah, true. That's true. What did you think of Adora or Dispara showing up at the end of issue 12?
Well, I didn't realize it was her until they said the name and she pulled the hood back, because I was thinking maybe it was like, oh, this could be like a good version of Shadow Weaver or something like that.
Yeah.
But it teases things to come.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool. I have to say, so far, this arc isn't my favorite. It's not bad, but I don't know, it just kind of wore on me. And I think it took me all of this arc to get used to Abnett's writing. Like, I wasn't used to it 3 issues in. I wasn't used to it 4 issues in. Like, by issue 6, I'm ready. I'm, on board. And especially when we cover the next arc, issues 13 to 20, or 13 to 19, or whatever it's going to be, because as of this recording, issue 20, or actually issues 19 and 18, or 19 and 20 have not come out yet. So we do know that Eternity War is coming. I actually talked to the editor of it on Twitter, and he said that it is going to be an ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically all as it's doing is it's going to be this same book, except it's changing the name.
Okay, so they're rebranding it.
They're basically rebranding the book. Instead of canceling the book and then starting something, entirely new. But he said it's going to be really, really interesting. So I'm slightly excited for Eternity War. I don't know. I do know that I'm really excited for the Blood of Grayskull storyline. I have been reading that as it has come out, and it's just amazing. In every way. At least for me it is. Overall, on a scale of 0 to 5 stars, what would you give the What Lies Within story?
I'd say a 4. I mean, after the first 6 issues I felt were okay. Masters versus DC kind of pulled me out of it all. Just left a bad taste in my mouth. And this has kind of pulled me back in.
For me, I'm going to give it a 3. It really took a lot for me to get used to the constant art changes. Like, if they had started and ended with Michael S. O'Hare, I would have been happy for the art the entire time. Mm. And I know artists always can't be on one book all the time like that, but I just wish that the art was more consistent. So yeah, for me, overall, it's a 3, because I still don't like the whole King Hiss thing. It's too weird.
Well, has he appeared later on at all yet, or no?
No, not yet.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. But I think if they just kept him within the confines of this arc, things would be fine.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us, I think. Where can the people interact with you online, sir?
Well, the good people can find me on Facebook, which I seem to be on more often than anything else. So you search A.Baron, A.Baron. Twitter at A.Baron. And if you want a little insight into my other hobbies, which would be the voice acting and other media-related projects, you can always head over to A.Baron.com.
Awesome. All right. You can find me, TFG and Mike, on Twitter. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio for all the network updates. Coming up next inside the pull bag. So as you folks might have known, this is the first week of November. Last year I kicked off my first annual Punisher month. Sadly, as I've stated in a couple episodes before this, that Punisher month is not going to be happening this year. We're actually going to move it to April of 2015. It will be happening, it just won't be happening in 2014. But coming up for the rest of November, we've got 2 back issue classics episodes. One is covering Cowl Volume 1, Principles of Power from Image Comics and Kyle Higgins. The other is going to be covering another Image Comics series, Sex Criminals Volume 1. So that's what's going on there for the rest of November. And then December, we've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up. Really, really interesting. I think Jeremy Fine and I are going to be doing more Avengers and X-Men coverage with Access issues 2 through 9 and Access Revolutions 1 through 4. I am going to try to be doing on the 4th week of December a top 20 favorite comics of 2014. I don't know if this is going to be single issues, if it's going to be trades, if it's going to include both. I don't know. So if anyone has any suggestions, shoot me an email, tfg1mike@gmail.com, or you can send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
It's action. It's drama. It's comedy. It's Decian, the superhero webcomic. Decian's got superhero antics and sexy girls. Read it now at Decian.com. DASIEN.com.
Hey Geekcast listeners, do you ever listen to Punisher Body Count and think to yourself, this show would be awesome if it had less toilet humor and was not about the Punisher? If so, join me, Emily Williams, as I class up the Punisher guys on Dane and Jake Get Classy. We're like the Oprah Book Club of comics. You'll hear us discuss famous works like The Dark Knight Returns and The Grove, along with graphic novels no one else is talking about, like Blue Monday and Blankets. You can find us at daneandjakegetclassy.wordpress.com or on iTunes.
So let's say you're looking for a podcast of your favorite 80s comic books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, etc. Where are you going to go to find us?
Welcome to Star Joe's Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Chuck. That's right, everybody. We're the Star Joes. We host a podcast called Star Joe's Podcast, where we talk about your favorite comic books, your favorite toys of all the 80s properties.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, Thundercats, Voltron, you name it, we cover it. If it's in the 80s, we'll cover it at some point.
Yes, so what you want to do to find us, you can go to iTunes, you can go to www.starjoes.com.
And remember, the Force will be with you.
Because knowing us is half the battle.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.